So today I'm at Stillingfleet Lodge and I'm speaking to Vanessa Cook, and you're the owner and you're kind of the bit of everything here.
Yes, we started the garden because when we bought the house in 1975, it was a semi-derelict farmhouse in a field, and the whole point about buying the house was that actually we did the house up, which took a year, and then we wanted to be self-sufficient, so we had cows and pigs and sheep, and we certainly didn't have a garden at all. And it wasn't until I went to Askham Bryan and did my 3 years horticulture that we then started making a garden. And by then, it was about 1986 I think, and by then the children were leaving home and they didn't need masses of yoghurt and cheese and milk and cream and all the rest of it that we've been producing. And so the cow went and we started developing where the cow lived, and then the sheep went and we started developing where, and so it grew. There was no planning. People say, did you sit down with a piece of paper and plan it? Absolutely not. It's just grown. My husband says it's grown far too much, but it's growing.
Yeah, and if people don't know about this and kind of wanting to find out what they can expect when they come to the gardens, what do you have here?
Well, we have an organic garden. That's probably the most important thing. We've always been organic, and the whole point was to make a wildlife garden. So the garden is really planned for, I would say, butterflies, bumblebees, which will upset you,
yeah.
And for birds. So the garden is full of birds. I think we've had 58 different varieties of birds in the garden, lots of bumblebees, and the whole plan was actually to be wildlife. But it's because it started slowly. We've got lots of small gardens, so it's very useful for people to come and see, because the gardens are the size of, probably a small garden that people normally have. You can actually take home and do more or less the same kind of thing in your garden. So you come and get ideas here, I think.
Yeah, and you opened yesterday, so that was the 1st of April. And on your Twitter, you've written that how people have come all the previous years and they've come back on your actual opening day of the season. So what's new for them, or what can they expect maybe this year?
Well, we always have new plants in the nursery, and because we grow all our own plants to sell, that's one of the important things about it. You can actually come here, you can see the plants growing in the garden, and then you can go to the nursery and buy something you've just seen.
Yeah.
Because in a pot, plants don't look very exciting. So people come on the first day because they know we've got different plants, and then we change every year, quite a lot of the plants. And it's just lovely to have the support of people that have a loyalty card and come probably once every month throughout the season, and they come on the first day to buy their loyalty card, which is lovely.
So going back to the Twitter as well, and what you've said about the loyal people who actually come here every year, that must feel amazing.
Yes, it makes you feel it's all worthwhile actually. And,
yeah.
And yesterday everybody was so enthusiastic because I think they said the weather forecast was going to be awful. In fact, it was really lovely.
It was.
And people came, and they were all cheerful, which is lovely. And people went home with smiles on their faces. That is great.
Yeah, and going back to your animals as well, you've got some animals as you enter, haven't you? And you can hear them.
Yeah, we've got guinea fowl, which actually live here kind of free. So we don't put them to bed. They're really wild. They live in the trees. And we've got a lot of chickens, which you can hear at the moment, a racket. Well, mostly bantams, because they're allowed all over the garden. Being organic, obviously we can't use slug pellets or any kind of sprays, so we reckon that the guinea fowl and the chickens between them keep the slug pellets at bay. Well, we hope so anyway. And everybody loves the chickens. I think the chickens are photographed more often than any of the flowers in the garden.
Is it true then that wild chickens can live in trees?
No, guinea fowl can.
So that's the confusion, because I always thought that
chickens lived in trees. Yeah. No, our poor little things they couldn't fly that high. They might just get onto these chairs, but they wouldn't get any higher, no.
And you have loads of workshops here as well, don't you? And loads of things that people can get involved in. And it's the one on the 10th of April, and that's choosing plants for a cut flower garden.
Yes, that was something we were actually asked to do, because we have an area in our stock beds where I grow flowers to cut for the cafe. At the moment it's just going to be a sea of tulips, but from kind of May time onwards it's annuals that we've grown from seed, and people asked for help to know what to grow. So this year we're having a course on what seed to grow, what plants to grow, what seeds to buy, how to grow them to cut for your garden, for your home, for your house really. And then later on, Jill is coming back in July to do a course on how to pick the flowers and how to make them into beautiful bunches and bouquets with the flowers you've grown from the course you've been on in April.
Yeah. And in June as well, you've got the Wildlife Day.
We have June the 18th, we've got a Wildlife Day. We have, I think it's 11 charities come here, all conservation charities, and they all have stands. And we have people like the bat people come, the mammal group come with owl pellets for the children to cut up to see what the owls have eaten. We have pond dipping, we have BTO, British Trust for Ornithology, coming, and they put mist nets up and they ring the birds. The children are all allowed to hold the birds, and they're wonderful BTO. They tell you all about how old the bird is and what feathers it's got, and it's just a wonderful hands-on course for, well, it's not a course, it's just a fun day really for children to learn about hands-on wildlife and how to make your garden more wildlife friendly really.
Yeah, how do you catch the birds? That must be really difficult.
They put great big mist nets, really high nets,
right,
all the way around the back of the garden, and the birds fly into them. They're not hurt.
Yeah, they get stuck.
They just get stuck in this net, and they're weighed and ringed, and then they're let out again very quickly, so they're not damaged in any way.
No, and is there anything else that you can expect from this Wildlife Day?
Well, we do bumblebee walks.
Yep.
We've got a world expert in spiders.
Right.
That's actually wonderful because I was fascinated because I didn't know how he was going to do anything about spiders, but he brings electric toothbrushes, and without the toothbrush on, and you put the electric toothbrush into a spider's web, and the spider comes rushing out thinking it's caught somebody.
Right.
And the children thought this was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
So it is very much a kind of fun day for children that want to learn more about.
Yeah, it's good as well to teach them that not to be afraid of spiders.
Oh, absolutely, and bumblebees, for goodness sake. We do bumblebee walk, and we also do a lot of moth trapping here. Butterfly Conservation trap here every month, and that's really interesting because we're getting a really good range of moths that we've caught. They were trapping in February, which they've never trapped so early. It was absolutely fascinating because all the female moths, I must tell you this because it's just such fun, female moths in January and February, the moths that are around then, don't have wings.
Right.
I mean, I always thought all moths had wings,
Yeah.
but they don't. The female, the winter moths do not have wings, and they live just in the trees. And the males fly to the females,
Yeah.
but the poor old females are stuck there on the trees all the time. They never leave the tree.
Hey.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, I wonder why nobody's ever seen you climb trees.
I had
and
no
then
idea that
younger.
some moths had no wings.
How strange.
No.
And within moths, do you do anything for the butterflies? Because I do know that there was kind of a decline in butterflies and they wanted to reintroduce other species that have kind of gone in numbers.
Yes, we're quite lucky here. We have really quite a lot of butterflies.
Yeah.
I can't remember, we have a list of how many butterflies we find, but Butterfly Conservation are here on our Wildlife Day. So they do walks and, there's an awful lot of experts here on that day.
Yeah.
So that people can talk to them about anything they want to talk about, really.
And people can volunteer here as well, can't they?
Oh,
Can help out.
Absolutely. We'd love to have volunteers. We do have some volunteers already, but very, very few, and we're always willing to have more.
And if anybody wanted to find out more about here, you have a website, don't you?
We do have a website, and all the information's on there about our courses, the cafe with wonderful homemade cakes. We also have art exhibitions in the cafe, and they change every month. And you can come just to the cafe. You don't need to come and look at the garden. If you just want to come and have a cup of coffee when we're open and see the art, that's fine. You can do that.